Hi, this is Carl. Mark. Matt, we're Ashes to Emperor. Welcome to Enigma Media.
Well, we're not gonna fuck up the intro this time.
What up, fellow headbangers? How you doing? I'm Robb O'Day.
I'm Noel Mathis.
Welcome to Enigma Media. Today we're spotlighting Vancouver-based band, the 5th Circle. And we're gonna check out one of their music videos right now.
Let's do it. Just finishing up a big veiny one.
Guys, what are we doing? We've been inside all summer recording music. Surely we could think of something better to do with our lives.
Yeah, I got tendonitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, you know what, Nikki?
You stank.
Wow.
Guys, I got this. Follow me. Reveal, you coming? Reveal! Alright guys, let's go. Hey, who's buying beer?
Hey, not me.
Come on. Are you serious? You owe me 40 bucks.
Oh my god, this is my favorite video ever.
This is completely unexpected.
I don't actually think this is them. I think this is just them fucking around, honestly. I don't think this is the music video. What is happening? I fucking love you guys. I don't care if this isn't a music video. I'm fucking loving this.
Moving in slow motion. Feels so good. It's a strange anticipation.
So good.
Get it!
Get it! Trip that ass!
What the fuck? Summer's over!
I fucking love you guys.
That was awesome.
Oh my god. Yes. Yes. We're gonna check out the song Standoff's music video right now, because that last one was fucking incredible. I was not expecting that at all. I legit thought that was a music video coming my way, and I was waiting for the metal.
You know what we need on our album?
Oh, this is the same video.
Collaboration.
No.
You guys know anybody
No,
that'd be
it's
cool
not.
to work with?
I bet you $5.
I do know a guy who does awesome Jethro Tull covers. He's
See,
amazing photos.
Jethro Tull, bro.
That'd be sweet.
Oh my god. It's like
Or
that
we
70s
could
show.
call my boy Drake.
We
Shit,
should
she knows
get that
Drake.
guy from Titanic.
Titanic.
Oh,
multiple guys, like 2 guys at once?
The audition couch right there.
Guys, I have an idea.
Oh, yeah, classic rock star, classic. Cheers, Gaia. Are you ready for a fucking crazy scream? This is like the best.
This is the line between life and death. This is the line between life and death. This is the line between life and death. This is the line between life and death.
Something's coming.
The grease. That greasy grease.
There's few greater things than screaming.
Yeah. We need to reach out for a feature. That would be
Is she playing a fretless?
I believe so.
Good lord.
5-string fretless. Yeah, Nikki's definitely a talented bassist. Like, the whole band's talented. Jordan's screams are so crazy.
Saving some film.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That was wicked.
Right? Like, insane. So good. Holy shit.
Well done, Fifth Circle.
Yeah, man. You guys... I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
That was awesome.
What up, fellow headbangers? How you doing? It's Robb O'Day, and welcome to the greasiest of all time. Tonight we're chilling with Fifth Circle from Vancouver. And just like all British Columbians, they like cold beer and hot food. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Enjoying some cold beer, but waiting for hot food.
Right. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how the band started?
Well, Jordan, Nikki's the bass player, and Dave is our guitar player. We're missing Mike and Ramil, our drummer and other guitar player. If you're gonna ask how we formed, it is a greasy story. Our band was essentially born out of a bar fight between Michael Black and Marty, who was our former guitar player, and the other Michael Black was the former drummer. And I think Dave might know the story a little bit better, but do you know what I'm talking about, Dave?
Yeah, basically our old drummer. So the band was two guys named Marty and Michael Black, and I joined. I played with them for a little bit, and then Marty and Mr. Black got in a little fist fight at a bar, and then Marty left. And by that point, we had found Jordan because he worked with Mr. Black. And then, yeah, the rest is history. We just kind of kept jamming and had a bunch of people come and go. And finally, after, I guess, like 5-6 years, basically finally settled on the full lineup.
Yeah, I guess summer of like 2017, we kind of hit up we're at.
Something like that, 16, 17.
Right?
Yeah, late summer after our tour with Colin, which, well, we know how that went.
Yeah. But so now we've more or less got a final what do you call it? Final lineup that we like and that's stable. So it's now where the real work begins.
Yeah, so we've been in the same jam space for basically the last 10 years now coming up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's solid.
I know it's been one of the few like stable thing in our life. Like it's like a religion, except there's beer and loud music instead,
Yeah.
So.
No, it definitely is.
Well, and the space that our jam space at is pretty cool as well. It's at 431 Front Street in New West. It's like they've got like a venue that they built upstairs, and it's really, honestly, when shows are back, I think it's going to be definitely a key in like keeping, at least our kind of, I guess, group, or I don't know, kind of like social network in the scene really from kind of collapsing, because we have a venue, jam spaces and everything. So it's it's pretty cool, because we did lose a lot of venues.
Yeah.
It's really nice, like unique place, because like a lot of the other places in Vancouver that do there's a couple names off the top of my head, but like they try to do like the entire cultural scene plus band scene plus art gallery. They kind of like they lose funding, or they just die off, and it's a real shame.
It just stretch too far. Stretches
well,
themselves too thin.
Unfortunately, it's just in a lack of funding, lack of money. So the spot we're at, we're lucky it's subsidized by all the people that are already renting there, and then there's space up top, so it's not like it's necessarily in danger of funding. So it's one of the few places that luckily will be left standing when it's all done.
Yeah, it's crazy how everything's changed. Like from bands planning full tours to all of a sudden like, hey, we're not even allowed to hang out anymore.
Yeah.
You guys have a crazy knack for engaging people with humor in your music videos. Like, that's the one thing. Like, I watched the first video you guys sent me, and I was like, I like these guys. You can tell you're from BC. You got a wicked sense of humor. What inspires that? Just to engage people?
You really can't take yourself too seriously, especially in this genre. You know what I mean? Like ironically, like the harder edge you try to portray, it gives you the opposite, right? So I mean, like, our music speaks for itself, and we just have fun.
Yeah,
To me, it would be hard to not inject humor into music. Like there's, like Frank Zappa said, does humor belong in music? There's a live DVD. If you've never watched it, I'd highly recommend it. But like people that, like, just to reiterate what Dave says, like we really, like, you need to be able to laugh too. Like if you're playing such serious music, like how are people gonna, like, there's only so much camp you can put out there and people are gonna, I don't know. Like
I think it's partly, sorry,
it's part of our appeal. I don't know, it's like we like humor as a group. We get along with each other.
Well, it's artistic honesty too, because I mean, a lot of it is kind of just like, you know, like a lot of the jokes in our videos and whatnot start from just conversations we have in real life, like when we're hanging out or talking or like writing music. So it's kind of like a way of like really putting ourselves out there, you know.
Yeah, and I think it definitely sets you guys apart from everyone else who, you know, stands there and does the typical like,
like
metal. It's like
Necrogoblicon would be a really good example of somebody.
Oh my god,
man! I literally, your vocals remind me of early Randy from Lamb of God and Necrogoblicon. Like I was saying that earlier. I'm like, I love the way he sounds. The way they do things is perfect, and I mean, you got to have fun with it, right? Like Guar was the key to being hilarious with metal. Like like it's just. I mean, you even look at some metal bands who like Manowar. They're talking like they're riding steeds with swords and shit. It's like, dude, you guys are not doing this.
I think they actually
get
believe
it. And that's the thing. There are bands that genuinely believe that. And I'm like, it's no. I get it. I get it. Just no, like be yourself. You'll sell way more.
And that's it. It's not even about selling. It's, you know, I mean, yeah, it's just like there's only so much of one emotion you can portray, and if it's all you know, heavy everything, like it just, you know, you gotta everybody feels a full range of emotions, so you kind of have to cater to that. And
especially if you're playing like a bar crowd, if you can't tell a joke, like you
what are you doing on stage?
Then you lose
what
them.
are you doing on stage?
Exactly. You're an entertainer. You have to be able to entertain.
Exactly. I always say the exact same thing to everybody that's like, why do you guys wear short shorts on stage? Why do you guys do blah 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 blah? Say you don't gotta like us. You just have to remember us.
Yeah, no, literally, that's like not my very first show. My very first show was opening up for Bleeding Alarm, but with one of my bands, our first show was opening up for Ninja Spy, and then we ended up opening for Ninja Spy constantly for like a good 10 years. And the one thing I still remember is Joel and his fucking laser into the crowd. You know what I mean? Like it was just like that made you love them, and they're like flips over each other's back when he's going over Tim, and it's entertainment, and it makes the show, and that's why I think they did so good in their run. You know what I mean? Your guys,
sorry,
no, totally. Your guys' style is death metal, and I feel it's like a touch of thrash behind it with your drummer for sure.
For sure.
And you guys have like wicked harmonizing instrumentals. Who's your main content creator, or is it just a collaborative effort?
Pretty collaborative, I think.
A lot of it, yeah. It's there's no one writer.
Yeah.
I mean, it really our music is really guitar driven, so everything really starts with a riff, and then we kind of start from there. But those riffs are usually, it's going to be the four of us, Mike, Dave, and Nikki and I, and it's usually us jamming the riffs out, and then we kind of bring all the riffs together with Ramil, and then he's our great if it passes the smell test with Ramil, it's going to be good. So we could kind of bring all our ideas to him. If it doesn't pass with him, then we kind of we know that
that's the drummer.
Yeah,
you can always tell because the drummer's like, man, I ain't playing to that shit. Like,
and
they've got to be able to like drive it, right?
Exactly.
Drums are definitely the backbone of a band, whether or not people want to accept it.
Especially metal. Like metal drumming is like it's
next level.
It's next level. Like jazz drummers, they listen to metal drummers. Like if they want to hear new techniques and things like that.
Yeah.
Like listening to Equipoise, like, oh man, like
I love them.
Right.
You could go on and on with the list of great metal drummers.
I did an interview I think 2 days ago with Distance Between. They're from Stockholm, and they have a female drummer from Colombia. Nice. And man, like you listen to their music at first, and then all of a sudden you look at them and you're like, like, holy fuck, because you don't see a lot of metal, like death metal drummers that are female.
Mhm.
She kills it. She's got like classical training, so she does all their operatic fucking symphonies and shit. Like,
Nice.
absolutely
which band?
insane, right? They're called Distance Between
I
from
gotta check
Stockholm,
them out.
Sweden. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think their podcast released on Sunday, so it'll be up soon.
Cool. Yeah, I gotta check them out for sure.
In your guys' standoff music video, you have Kaya.
Mhm.
How'd you guys meet her, and how was that experience? Because Kaya's an awesome
Oh,
person.
yeah, Kaya's a good friend of mine. I met her a while ago, before I joined the Fifth Circle when I was in another band. And I just met her at a show randomly, and you know, we got talking about Metal Lipstick Fest, the festival that she started, and
Yep, I performed at it.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was the drummer of Meteor Tree. We played there. Yeah.
Dude, you guys were sweet. I remember you.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, that was a while ago. But
Yeah, it was years ago. That's exactly when I met Kaya, was when she was doing our interviews and brought us there. And that's why I was like,
Well, I remember,
hey,
yeah.
I know her.
Yeah, I loved you guys.
Oh,
I was
thank
like,
you.
man, this band's cool. Yeah. But yeah, it was like, I guess it was before that. So it would have been like, I don't know, probably like 2015 or something. I just met Kaya at a show randomly. We got talking about the fest, and you know, I was in another band at the time, and I actually had been, it was pretty much like I got that band on the fest, and then I ended up leaving that band.
Oh, shitty.
Before we actually played the fest, but they still had a female keyboard player, so they were still on it, right?
Yeah.
And then Kaya was just a super awesome person, was like, oh, you should just come MC the festival. And like, you know, we kind of just, we've been really good friends since then. And, you know, I love her band Anarchion, they're great. And
So sick.
yeah, you know, we've worked together a lot. And so we decided, okay, we're going to feature a vocalist, which would probably be Kaya, you know, because she's great, right?
Mhm. No,
She
that's
has
cool, like,
the perfect sound for that song.
and you don't see a lot of feature vocalists. Like, it's starting to come up more now.
Yeah,
think.
well, I mean, it's
Kind of a cool thing to see where you got two vocalists. Like, one of my favorite bands, I didn't even find out until about 2 years ago, is While She Sleeps.
Okay.
And when they do the song with Ollie Sykes, it's probably one of my favorite songs, because they have
Ollie
that
Sykes,
back and
oh, man.
yeah, they do a back and forth. Well, they're both from England, and
yeah,
it's such a sick song. It's called Silence Speaks, I believe. And I mean, if you guys haven't heard it, check it out, because it's the way they do it it's so unique. And that's exactly how you guys did it, the back and forth and that one part, and then all of a sudden it's just together and it's just raw and fucking greasy, and I love it, right? So it's cool to see.
Yeah.
You guys are from Vancouver, so how is the scene with COVID and everything down there?
Oh,
We
well,
lost the venues.
Yeah, lots of
already.
venues for sure.
Yeah.
That's the saddest part. Like I'm really at the same point cautiously optimistic, but also at the same like realistic. Like when all this is over, it's going to be a very different landscape, and it already was pretty small in the city. Like what the great adage I always hear is, you know, it's awesome to be a band in Vancouver, but you have to tour out of Vancouver. You can't play in this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the scene, the pool of artists, the what do you call it? The talent pool is so deep, and it's a real shame because there's not a great amount of outlets to play at. So the scene's thriving, the scene's great, and we just hope, you know, like funding comes and people step up and buy these spaces and rent out these spaces and do whatever it can to increase it, because it is in really
hopefully the
great
rickshaw
risk.
stays around.
Sorry. Oh yeah.
Out of any of the venues, like the rickshaw is probably the most important, at least for the heavy music scene in Vancouver.
They got approved. They got approved for some funding last I heard.
I wonder if that's what my buddy Mike works at.
Maybe. But what I have heard is that a lot of like the Rio Theater went through the same thing where they got approved for funding. It just took a really long time to come in, and the bills kept coming in.
Yeah.
And so this is why a lot of venues are losing it, because they get approved for funding and it's great, but then it just takes forever to get there, and sometimes it's too late by the time they actually get the money.
Yeah, it's just like serious waiting game just to get anything.
Yeah, well, they're processing, the government, they're processing so much stuff right now as it is, like with, grants funding and stuff like that. I mean, I think they should step it up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pro-government or.
No, didn't they just give like $150,000 to Elon Musk's wife? or whatever,
okay.
and it's like
It's
just
her
because she's
label.
from Vancouver. And
It
it's
was
like,
her label, actually.
yeah. Oh, see, and it's like, I don't know.
That's the
It's
thing.
like, it's such a
Yeah.
weird concept. It's like you should be helping the underdogs because, I mean, what happens when the people that are signed stop
Yeah.
having that talent? Where
Well,
are you gonna go?
I did read about that specifically, and actually, I remember reading that it was actually her label that actually mostly represents small independent artists. She's just one of the only ones that got really big. So I guess
Oh, okay.
her label was seen on a list of labels that got approved for that funding, and somebody saw that and was like, "Oh, that's Grimes' label.
Oh, okay.
She's stealing money," right? So it was like this whole thing.
The media decided to do its thing.
Yeah, it was like just this one journalist that like really just wanted attention to his blog, I think. So
Yeah, right. I mean, I think it's kind of what you have to do nowadays because the only thing on the news is COVID. So you got to kind of
Yeah.
create stories and feed off shit right now just to make something entertaining.
yeah, well, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
but yeah, that's the thing is like, you know, even as artists, it's like, you know, how do we compete with that? Everybody's so, you know, everybody's so worried about COVID. It's just like, you know,
or politics and what's going on in the States.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's, like no one,
yeah,
you can shout as loud as you want. No one's listening to us right now.
Mhm.
And it's such a sad concept because, I mean, you look at the 70s and when there's like a crisis in the world, any time period, music is what carried people through.
yeah.
And
Well,
I think,
a lot of people are writing right now.
yeah, and that's what I mean. Like that was one thing I was talking about with Redefined is that it's cool to see like we're gonna have this. We're at a year right now. We don't know how long it's gonna go, but at the end of it, it's like they have already recorded 2 EPs and a full album. I'm like, damn, like.
And that's the thing, especially. I mean, like it's really going to show when all this is over who did what, who took the time and bettered themselves. And yes, like it's frustrating even for us. Like we're not working at the full capacity we could. Or nobody is, of course. But it is going to be like a real test. And when all this is done, who's done what? And there are going to be bands. There's going to be so much great fucking music coming out of this whole thing. That
Oh yeah.
For like at least a year, you're not going to be like every single band you've ever heard of is releasing 2 records. You know, and
They're
I
focused.
can't wait for that part.
Yeah, it's like what musicians should be doing. You know, they should be focused on their music and not having to worry about a 9 to 5. So
Yeah,
that's where the greatest art comes from. Is when you actually get to focus on it.
Yeah. Well, when you're presented with crisis, you got nothing else to do but write a fucking song about it, right?
Exactly. I mean, the last year inspired a shit ton of music for me. So
yeah.
When everything returns back to normal, what do you guys think your first thing to do is besides perform?
Oh.
Well, we've got new stuff in the works, so hopefully, you know, I mean, we'll have a single out by then for sure. We've got a new EP that's pretty much entirely written too. So I don't know. Hopefully, some of that will be out by then, or the whole thing.
Well, besides, playing a live show, like I think that's
everyone's first thing to do.
Besides,
I hope the EP is out by then.
I hope it doesn't. I hope COVID doesn't take as long to wrap up as EP will take to make.
Right.
But, yeah, that's. I don't know, man. I'm not. They keep moving the goalposts on. I don't even look at the news anymore. I was like, when COVID's over, it's over. It's too depressing to think about.
Yeah.
It's gonna last a lot more and a lot longer than a lot of people are gonna say, and that's the downside.
Yeah, we can't depend on it being over at like a certain point, so might as well just keep writing and
just keep doing what you're doing. Don't think about it too much. When it's over, it's over, and it's great. We get back on stage, but until then, like if you're inactive, then I mean, too bad for you.
That's exactly what we were just talking about too. Like I definitely think that's gonna weed out a lot of the playing field for us because the bands who are just sitting there like, oh yeah, well we've got a good following. Well, is your following still going to be there when this is done? You know what I mean?
That's the biggest thing. Yeah, like you have to create something. You have to, even if it's any I guess like clickbait, any sort of clickbait. And I normally hate this kind of stuff, but like it sucks. You really do have to say like, we're alive. Like, please don't forget about us.
And you have to pay to be seen at this point too.
You
definitely have to put out money like ads and stuff like that. You can't just rely on organic feedback.
Of course.
There's no website that actually produces that anymore.
Everybody's glued to their computer watching something else, right? There's organic nothing, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, even I'm guilty of it. Like I see a sponsored band on Facebook while I'm scrolling, and I'll look at it for 2 seconds and scroll by, and I'm like, no, go back. Like I got it. I've got to give them at least like I got to hear them, you know. But it's so natural though. So and it sucks because it's hard to, you have to think of something that is gonna stop. Come here. And that's why I like your guys' videos, because it has that humor which draws people in, and then you've got hints of humor throughout the whole video. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, we have to think more creative as artists and less as musicians, I guess, to create content for people nowadays.
Yeah, that's kind of been our main focus, other than, you know, the writing, is thinking of good visual concepts for our music videos and how we're going to visually tell that story as well, and create, you know, more of an experience without the live shows, because we can't rely on that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but we got some pretty good stuff planned. You know, the video that we're planning to release next is going to be really funny. So
perfect.
Excited for everyone to see that.
We'll definitely share the shit out of that.
Yeah.
So if you guys could change anything in the music industry, what do you think it would be?
Oh man.
Pay to play, in one word.
Yep.
What?
I agree with that 100%.
But I don't know. That's just me. That's just the worst part is that's just one thing.
No, that's why we started this, right? Like, I had bands ask me like, how much do you charge? I'm like, not a fucking thing, dude. Like, can you share the videos? Can you like give us a like? Like, I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because I believe in bands and I want to see bands get out there again. I want it to be like when I was 13 and I was like going to see shows front row and headbanging, because you don't see that anymore. Everyone stands like 20 feet away from the band.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know. You go see Napalm Death, people are pretty into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you got the dedicated fans, for sure. But I mean, like when you're first time seeing a band and you're just kind of like groove into them, but it's not like, I feel like 20 years ago when I was like 11 going to shows, shit was crazy. Like there was mosh pits. You could jump off the stage and crowd surf. And now it's like,
even where I'm from in like Southern Ontario, man,
right?
like you go to a local show, it's insane. Like, what the fuck happened now? Everybody's just just standing 20 feet away.
Yep.
Whatever. Cool.
Judging
beer.
Yeah, exactly right. When's this over?
Well, I think
see that guitar.
I think when shows are back, people be excited about them again. They won't take them for granted as much.
I definitely think so too.
At least I hope so. At least for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was just because it was so flooded. Like every day you'd walk by a venue and there's a different 5 bands and a different.
And
5
who cares?
Bands.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think you're not going to have that, because a lot of bands are going to be so behind the game if they didn't do anything.
If they didn't already fold.
Yeah,
that's the sad part. And yeah, it's. I remain cautiously optimistic. We'll see. I really hope it's like that. But I mean, at the same point, what I feel we are really going to see, unfortunately, is what we're already seeing, like a reshuffling, a refocusing of what people are into. And you know what I mean? Like you watch every day, you know, how much traction, how much feed Twitch and how much, you know, TikTok and all these other things. Like everybody's got their phone fucking this far from their face. Are we going to return to like a live show engagement kind of thing that we saw in the past? I hope so, but you know, like it is scary to see just the refocusing of what especially younger people
and there's going to be a hangover effect from this as well during COVID. It's not
just like SARS.
And it's so people are going to be intrinsically less, you know, less willing to go, but also more willing. So it's like it's too hard to predict with something like that. But to get back to your question, I think one thing that we are missing is venues that aren't just bars, like places that just serve alcohol. Is like that was always a problem for.
But that's an issue with funding. That's the thing. Like it's like one thing what I was going to say, what I would change about it is, you know, I mean, it really comes down to the government and their arts funding, where it's distributed. Like, you know, I think recently I think it was the CBC thing. They had like a list of like, you know, certain kinds of places that were approved for arts funding. Yeah. And it was only like very certain things that completely excluded like alternative music scene. So, I mean, yeah, there really just needs to be more funding for that. I think the idea of having basic income for self-employed artists is a great idea. I would like to see that happen. because
That
then
would be nice.
Well,
we could
and sorry,
work on
and
our craft.
specifically to build on Nikki's point, that is the problem. There have been so many of these cultural spaces that pop up, but they're not bars. So the funding goes right away, right?
If you're not selling liquor, then they don't care too much.
And that's the hardest part, because you want to include people who don't want to go to bars, which surprisingly is a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I personally don't drink alcohol. I'll perform at bars.
Well,
but,
cheers to that.
Right? No, I smoke like crazy, but I just I've been in
That's
bars.
the hardest.
Like
that's the hardest thing.
Are the only venues we have, and it sucks.
And until you see something really like private either whether it's companies, corporations, or just private individuals stepping up and actually funding these places, I don't think it sucks, but it's not going to be a thing.
They're not profitable.
It's not profitable, of course. So
that's the problem with art. It's harder. You can't make money off of intangible things or ideas.
Well, you can, but once those people do, you usually don't go back to what the original idea of that art was.
They never go back to the original ideal that they had, the concept.
Well, it needs to be considered an essential part of society. I think that's why the arts have always lacked funding, is because how do you explain to the government how important art is, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's not something you can it's intangible. You can't just put it on paper like, oh, this is how many people art has helped.
I think it needs to be brought up as that fact that it's culture, and that the Canadian government embraces every form of culture, any religion,
pie chart with like
any
metal,
lifestyle. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, why exclude a huge group of musicians just because you're scared of the music? And I think that's what most thing is. People hear a scream and they're terrified. And it's like, well, I mean, I hear a yodel from fucking country music and I'm terrified. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's to get in another point. That's a very real, actual. Oh man, yeah. I don't even get started on that. But
I don't understand where we went from like rock music, good music, to all of a sudden it's like this country pop, which is the only thing that's accepted, or like auto-tuned one-hitter rap that's like did it, hit it, huh, huh, and it's like I don't know. It's nice to see
cool from Blues Brothers. Like, we got both kinds of music, country and Western.
Right? Exactly. I mean, I don't understand. Well, I mean, I've met some like wicked fucking Berta bands that are like fucking metal.
Oh, yeah.
I think Break the Silence, I think that was their name.
Break the Silence.
Yeah.
I love that.
Dude, fucking gnarly band, right? Like I've been trying to find them too, because I'm like, I want to do an interview with them because I love them. Like, they're such a solid band to hang out with.
Totally.
But I mean, it would be nice to see the Canadian government step up and realize that music is a culture, not just certain genres. Because even CBC sent me an email and they were like, go on this. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, it says alternative, but metal's usually not accepted. He's like, well, some forms of metal are. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like some forms of metal, like, what do you mean? Like, heavier rock with just a little extra distortion? Because I guarantee you ain't putting screams on there.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that would be a wicked thing to see, is them put on a metal show. Because I loved listening to CBC and their music shows. It'd be sweet if they had a metal one that was dedicated to just strictly Canadian upcoming bands.
Totally.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't. Well, it's weird. It's almost like it used to have metal used to have somewhat of an outlet in mainstream culture, because I remember like way back in the day, like I remember watching Much Music and they had like, what is it, Much Loud? Was it?
Yeah, hair
like
bands.
That was where I first heard Alexis on Fire, was Much Loud.
Yeah, punk and like actual metal
Preliminary
bands.
Archery, yeah.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
Well, look how popular Metallica is in pop culture. Why just embrace certain bands just because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Even Slayer is accepted in pop culture. Like, you have Kardashians.
Which is really weird.
I personally can't stand Slayer. The only member of Slayer I liked passed away. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Kerry King. I'll say it openly. I don't think he's a good guitar player.
Oh, he's terrible.
And those like pretentious metal elitists who are like, Slayer's the only man. I'm like, okay, those are the guys who usually don't play instruments. They're just people who listen.
They're definitely overrated. Like, I would like to hear more about bands from that era, but I always hear Slayer. Right?
Yeah, like I love Sepultura.
Yeah,
no one hears that. Like, they're so sick. They had tribal metal at like such an early stage of metal, and it was like they were way ahead of the game.
That was so cool. Yeah, I love Sepultura. Yeah.
And like even it'd be like just European bands in general are next level compared to the North American bands. So it's
Yeah.
I think it's the lack of culture in North America, really, because we're still developing it. We're
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
you know what I mean? Like we're such a young North America is so young compared to like there's buildings in Europe that are thousands of years old, and we're like still developing. We're like a teenager who's developing what they want to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even our music is like that, which is cool because you hear North America, like American metal, and North American metal, so different than European, and it's so different than like Bloodywood from India.
Oh, I love them. They're
Right,
great.
such a sick band, but you
I
hear the
love
difference
Redwood.
in the influence of the culture in the music, and I find
Yeah.
North American music has a lot of tension in it.
Have you
There's a-
heard? So, kind of a side note. Have you heard Massive Scar Era?
Yes.
Yeah, they're like they're Egyptian, but then they have a lot of members from Canada as well. They're so cool. I love them.
I love seeing cultural influence in music. It's
Yeah.
it's super cool.
And there's a lot of it here.
Yeah.
I think part of that problem you're alluding to, or to lack of culture, I think it's not necessarily that there's a lack of culture, that we've tried to bury the culture that was here before and pretend that there wasn't anything here before when we came here.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. I mean, there's 100%.
There's that going on too. So, I mean, the whole history of North America is rooted in slavery and colonialism, and the music's historical roots are rooted in that as well. So despite there being different sounds that are being produced, a lot of the modern guitar music that we hear today is all based from those same slave and colonial backgrounds of North America, and how it ended up being filtered out back into Britain and through Europe like that. But in like for blues music, for instance, in the 60s, how it ended up influencing a whole generation of blues rock guitar players like Eric Clapton, Zeppelin, blah 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 blah. And they a lot of the times, like Led Zeppelin's first album, they didn't write a single song on there.
Nope.
They got famous off the backs of all the poor black musicians.
100%. Same with Elvis.
Yeah.
So like,
well, okay,
there's
the
this whole
interesting thing about Elvis was that he was secretly Cherokee. He just didn't talk about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't
Which
know
I
that.
find interesting because there's, like the indigenous community had a huge contribution to blues music. So it was, I think in his case, he was a mixed person, and I think he was just trying to get that music out there.
Yeah, he just wanted to do what he could at the time.
Yeah, he couldn't
That makes
talk about
sense.
the fact that he was native because of what was the 50s. You couldn't tell people you were native.
Yeah.
Right?
And like what Jordan was talking about, like the North American history, like Aboriginal history is true. And that's like my former band Meteor Tree. Our lead singer was Aboriginal. She's from Saskatchewan. And she actually put native like howling and singing into our music.
That's what I loved about it.
Yeah,
I'm native
so
too,
it was super cool to see. And like, I mean, Teresa's absolutely amazing with what she does.
Yeah.
And it was cool to be a part of that because like we were embraced by her. Her band brought us and paid us a ton of money to come and perform. And it was more of a blessing just to embrace that culture, like to see them and how they loved metal. Because you don't get to see that, right?
like, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Like the jerry cans would be a really good example of somebody who takes like the Aboriginal culture, but also blending rock and roll with it. It's a really interesting
like
conflict.
contemporary elements.
Yeah, so combining like throat singing and electric guitar and like all these different things, and it creates a really cool sound. Like that's somebody or a band or a group that's really been able to put those things together and add the culture in with the musical norms of the day.
Yeah, that's
informing
really
the music with it.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, and I think the unique thing about being an indigenous musician as well is that it's so like rhythm is so ingrained in our culture. Like at every ceremony, there's drumming and there's dancing. There's always someone singing a song or something, right? It's just I feel like
powwows are absolutely powerful.
Sorry,
like, powwows are absolutely powerful when you get to embrace one.
Yeah.
Like they're insanely strong. It brings up so much emotion, right? So, and I mean, there's a documentary on YouTube. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about metal bands from the Navajo culture.
Oh yeah,
I highly recommend it, man. Some wicked bands on there.
It's one about black metal, right? On like a certain
they're like
What's
Yeah.
the band called again?
I
It's
can't
bugging me now.
remember. Yeah, it'll bug me. I gotta. I might even try and contact them because they're like so cool, and it'll be a really cool thing to talk about because it's just a different
Mhm.
aspect of metal, and it's cool to see different everywhere else in the world and how they represent it.
Yeah. Well, there's I don't know if you have you heard of Moments Fest?
No.
It's a festival in Alberta, and a guy named Carlin Black Rabbit runs it, and his band is called No More Moments.
Okay.
And so basically, what they do is they hold this metal festival every year, and it's literally at like a powwow arena,
Oh, cool.
and it's like on the reserve, and it's really really cool. And I'm pretty sure he's actually he's on Chief and Council or something too, so he's like funding it himself, and it's pretty cool. But
See, like that.
Yeah.
You've got like bands that are helping out the music scene more than like Canadian governments.
Well, that's the thing.
That's awesome.
That's the
That's
thing
cool to
because
see.
yeah,
We
well, it's so important in our culture. Like it's no question. It's like, yeah, there has to be music. There always has to be music. There's no question about it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say to the viewers or the world?
Hi, Mom.
Well played.
Yeah, I don't know. Stay tuned for the new music.
Yes, we have so much new content coming up. We have a single coming very shortly, a video that for that single we're shooting very shortly. Tentative date 420 for release.
We're shooting.
We're really gonna push it.
I love that. It's so funny.
Oh man. What is it? 5-song EP. Yeah, literally, we just can't wait for the restrictions to end so just we can get back to work, man. Like honestly, what do you do, right? We're trying our best. There's new music coming. We're trying our best.
Yeah, it's definitely it's entertaining when you have to do it and can't just all get together and do it. You have to do it in like separate parts.
Yeah.
I finally get to go finish the vocals for the EP this upcoming weekend. So I'm like,
nice.
Thank God. I've been talking about it for so long. I just want to get it done. Cool. Well, if you guys, I mean, once restrictions are lifted, you guys should definitely come up to the Okanagan and we'll set up a show.
Oh, I can't wait.
And we'll get
Oh
together.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
That'd
All
be
right,
cool.
guys. Well, I'll definitely we'll set you up for another interview soon and we'll talk again.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Man.
All right. Bye, guys.
Cheers. Thanks. Goodbye.
Hey, guys. Thanks for checking out the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the episodes, interviews, this lovely person.
That lovely guy.
We'll see you guys soon.